So your success in large commercial movies continued with memorable roles in Kuch Kuch Hota Hai, Bade Miyan Chote Miyan, Hasina Maan Jayegi, Mohabbatein, Kaho Na Pyar Hai, Dhadkan, Jodi Number One, and then came your, I would say, a westward turn in your career in 2002 with Bend It Like Beckham. Again, another fantastic movie, and it was the beginning of your Western experience. So, how was it working in the West, and how did the movie happen?
So, Mitrajit, I want to clarify once. I hope this is not a lifetime achievement award interview. I am not one of those people who glorify the past. I think one has to look forward. No, I'm just joking about it. Please use this in your interview. Don't edit it out.
Absolutely.
So,
Nothing will be edited. Don't worry.
no. What I mean to say that I have seen many people giving interviews. फिर मैंने ये किया, फिर मेरी ये सफलता थी. I feel life is a mixture of what did not work for you also. You see, it is not only milestones which are to be remembered. It's also because they were all the other films were part of my journey. But I understand what
Correct.
you're trying to capture
Correct.
here. Bend It Like Beckham was first offered. That role was first offered to Mr. Bachchan, according to Gurinder
Okay.
Chadda. Yeah.
Okay.
Mr. Bachchan had said no, and for whatever reasons, but obviously because it was not the lead role. And so I was in New York, and I had a friend called Deepak Nair, and he said that we have making this film called Bend It Like Beckham. I did not know at that time who Beckham was. I'm not very much into professional football.
Football.
This we are cricketers.
Absolutely.
So he said, "आप script पढ़ लो, मैं script भेज देता हूँ, and then let me know your thoughts." No, I think in Hindi. I don't think in English. So for
That's right.
me, I first opened the scene and saw how many dialogues are there of mine and what is the length of the character. As you said that
That's
this came to me at when I was giving hits all over the place and I was so I said, यार छोटा सा role है क्यों मेरे से करवाना चाहते हैं? But there was something about the script which I thought was fascinating. I love success stories. It was a success story about these two girls who wanted to play football, especially the Indian girl. And there was a last scene which sort of was a clincher for me, where he says that I used to play cricket and they did not allow me to play cricket because of my turban. So that was somewhere very exciting. So I stopped by in London to meet Gurinder Chadda, and Gurinder Chadda said we will be very happy if you can do this role. And and I said okay, I'll do it. Deepak offered me some money, and which was not great, but I was very excited that I'm working in an English film.
that's
हिंदी
right.
मीडियम हिंदी मीडियम फिल्म लोगों के स्टूडेंट्स का जो कॉम्प्लेक्स होता है ना कि हमको अंग्रेजी में हमको एक्सेप्टेंस मिल रही है तो मुझे एटलीस्ट तब तो था मुझे and I said I want to so I went to London for a month and we shot for that film. It was completely different from what I was used to in Hindi cinema. It was sometimes painfully professional. It was paperwork, uh, regimental. But I was first time enjoying, first time in the sense the professionalism, the regimentalness of the thing because I was used to it when I was doing theater.
That's right.
In my drama school days, I used to know that this is how things is. 7 o'clock, you have to sit in the chair, and 7:15 will be the wardrobe, and 7:30 on the sets, one rehearsal, and etc. etc. So I used to get sometime, and we are used to at least now there is a lot of professionalism which has come
That's
in Indian cinema. But at that time, आप 9 बजे की शिफ्ट में 10 बजे जाते थे, फिर आप बोलते थे कि that was a joy of doing an Indian film. फिर आपको
that's
बोलते थे कि चाय वाय पिलाओ यार, हाँ तो चाय पी, फिर आपने किसी लोगों से बातचीत की, असिस्टेंट विल सर रेडी हो जाओ सर, अरे रुकना है यार बैठना, हाँ जी फिर क्या हुआ, and then you will get ready and then they will say हाँ लेन 90% films will not have script, 98% films will not have script, and then the writer will come and he will say अभी ताजा ताजा लिख कर लाया हूँ जी सीन, गरम गरम है सीन, मतलब these are the kind of things that you used to hear, and then he will say ये लाइनें हैं, आप फिर ऐसा बोलते हो, फिर वो ऐसा बोलता है, तो देन डायरेक्टर से नहीं यार इसको चेंज कर, इसको ही डाल दे, एंड द एक्टर विल से नहीं नहीं यार ये क्या बकवास लाइन है यार, ये मैं लाइन चेंज कर. It used to happen. I was used to it. Over here, there was everything was pre-decided. There was no way that things were going to change. Yes, there was discussion. There was, you were allowed to uh, talk about it, and if they like the suggestion, they will incorporate. बट ऐसा नहीं है कि आप 7 बजे की शिफ्ट में 8 बजे जाओ. ऐसा भी नहीं है कि आपको ड्राइवर जो है, जो आपको लेने आया है, he will call you in your room. No. I first day I thought that once the driver reaches, he will call up the lobby and sort of lobby will call me up and say, come down. So instead of 6:30, I came down at 6:20, 6:50, wondering why hasn't the driver called. Immediately, the production manager told me, nobody will call you, sir. 6:30, you need to get into the car. But as I was doing the film, I knew that this is going to be a phenomenal success. You feel it, you know it, because you suddenly, I was every single person. The person who was giving a passing behind me was a drama school person. The person who was playing a bartender without any line, he was a trained actor. Everybody was trained all over the place. People who were junior artists or the background artists. It was magical in terms of being surrounded by people who are who know their job. Nobody was there by fluke, and I somehow realized that I am representing India in an international event. So before every shot, I will think to myself, and also having to conversation is basically we are using English to communicate.
That's
But
right.
जो बोलना है उसमें तो आपको सोचना पड़ेगा ना, बार बार करना पड़ेगा. But I loved the
Correct.
process, and Keira Knightley was there. That the fact that she became a
Such a huge
phenomenal
star.
star. Everybody, Kurinder was fantastic, and the film became $100 million film. So I loved it. I loved being part of Bend It Like Beckham because I made a lot of friends. Uh, worked with actors who actually sort of knew what they were doing. There were discussions and there were rehearsals. There were script reading, table read. Everything was done the way it should be done every time.
मैंने गांधी को नहीं मारा by Jhanu Badiya came next, and that won you the next the second national award jury mention. You played the role of Professor Uttam Chaudhary. Uh, why was the role so difficult?
So I produced the film also.
Okay,
So Janu Barwa Dada came to meet me. I was dubbing for a film in Juhu, and he came to me and he said NFDC is making a film, and as again I was very busy, and I think of you that you should do the main lead. So I said, Dada, 5 minutes है, 5 minute बताओ story क्या है? So he said, no, I have the whole script. ऐसा नहीं, वो तो मैं पढ़ लूंगा, पर आप मुझे 5 मिनट बताओ. Because somewhere I had read some quote I've read of somebody that if the person cannot narrate you the script in 3 minutes, that means he doesn't know what he's talking about. So I, unfortunately or fortunately, chose to sort of practice that quote with Janu Barwa. Janu Barwa ने कहा, एक आदमी है प्रोफेसर उत्तम चौधरी. He thinks he was the one who killed Mahatma Gandhi. I said, I'm doing it. That's it. He had just said first line. So then I said, I read the script, but the script initially was too, there were too much of symbolism in the script. कि वो कटघरे
okay.
में आ जाते हैं, कटघरे खड़े हो जाते हैं. तो I suggested, I said, Dada, maybe we can sit down together and work it out. Then as it will happen that NFDC decided not to make the film because of some financial issues or they were giving less money. But I wanted to make this film because by the time I was completely sold out on the script. So I went to Yashji and I told Yashji, I want to produce this film. Can you please finance it? Yashji and Adi Chopra read the script and they said, okay. And that's how I became the producer of the film. But then me and Dada Janu Barua sat down for a long time and we worked out and we thought this is how we should be doing. And then casting of the daughter was great difficulty because we asked so many people. And then finally Urmila had worked with me in Om Jai Jagdish, I think, or maybe
That's
not.
right.
Yes, she had already done that. So so we chose her and then we did the casting. But the problem is because I wanted to do this role of Uttam Chaudhary completely realistically and not use a shortcut. I had now Alzheimer was the theme of the character. He
That's
goes
right.
through Alzheimer's and dementia, but I had not done any study or I had not met anybody who had Alzheimer's. So I said, Dada, I will want to meet people. So we and the dates, the set construction had already started and everything. And when I met everybody that who were suffering with the Alzheimer's, and when I saw the documentaries of on Alzheimer's, etc., I discovered that a person who has Alzheimer's has vacant eyes. There is no expression is also an expression, but the only way I can describe it is that they had vacant eyes. And I found it very difficult to get that expression in my rehearsals, in my own mind. And I was very frustrated because I read about the book Alzheimer and dementia. Then I started going on to this beach, Juhu Beach, early morning to see that I will think that nobody recognizes me, nobody recognizes me. I do not remember who I am. I do not remember I am Anupam Kher. Because I thought once I get that look clear, then it will be rest I will manage to get. I did not want to confuse uh, Parkinson's with Alzheimer's
Okay. Okay.
because or shake my head or something like that or this thing. I didn't
Right.
want to
Right.
do.
Right. Right.
And one day, I don't know swimming. I did not know swimming at that time. So I thought, I'll let me walk towards the sea and imagine that I don't know who I am. And when I think split second, I felt that emotion. And the moment I encountered that emotion with my mind, I threw up. But I photographed that moment, captured that moment, that what was that like to have vacant eyes. And then we started shooting. And it was difficult because I was the producer. So people used to come to me and they do discuss the production problem. They will and then I will go to the scene. But because I had captured that moment, and because acting is all about being focused. Anything in life is basically being about focused, and it happened. We did the change script with that poem that came in. We brought in the music. Bappi Lahiri's music. Nobody will believe that it has Bappi Lahiri's background score. There was not a single song, and I wanted somehow in my mind, piano is the instrument I associate
Key
with,
instrument.
and yeah, I think that's how it worked out. Yeah, it was. But the only problem that happened after that is that every time, because I had done a study about Alzheimer's, that every time I will forget now anything, I will think, oh, chapter 23, it says in that book that. So I sometimes regret. Once I was praying and I do three mantras for the last donkey's years, and one day I forgot the mantra number two. And I said, how can it happen? I've been doing that 45, 50 years. And then it reminded me, when you feel that way, sit down, the sweat will happen, etc., etc. My biggest fear is to have Alzheimer's. But yeah, so that's how it happened.
A completely contrasting role after that. Did you enjoy playing Khosla?
Oh, if I have to, in fact, you are choosing 10 best films of my career unknowingly or knowingly, Mitrajit. I think you are choosing the films. Khosla Ka Khosla is an achievement for me and my tribute to a common man of this country. Uh, Jaideep Sahni, the writer, and
That's right.
Bakar Banerjee, along with Savita Raj, who was the producer of the film, they had been trying to get in touch with me for a long time. And I said, नया कोई स्क्रिप्ट है, नया कोई बंदा है, पता नहीं क्या पिक्चर का नाम. फिर पहले पिक्चर नाम का नाम कुछ और था.
Acha.
It was something Zameen, something, some rubbish. It was. So I said one day I gave the time to them and I said, okay, come and meet me in my Andheri office. And they came. I said, I have 20 minutes. I was really running around doing lots of shifts. That's why that Javed Akhtar statement is there. Now you cannot make Hindi films without two things: film raw stock and Anupam Kher. So they started narrating me the background of the film, and I spent 4 hours with them. Instead of 20 minutes, I spent 4 hours with them. And I said, this film has to be made. They knew the nuances of a Delhi family, Delhi typical. It was a story, it's a story of any middle class person.
Anybody can relate to Khosla. Yeah.
Whether it is in Tamil Nadu, whether it is in Kashmir, the middle class man's story is the same. I had seen my father, and I related Khosla with my best friend Vijay Sehgal, his father.
Okay.
So I said, "Ye to Khosla sahab hai," but it is the most difficult thing to portray a common man who has no attributes, and he should still come across as a common man. But we did a lot of workshops, and because Dibakar knew his characters, in Dibakar and Jaideep Sahni had crystal clear idea about what they wanted out of that film, whether it was Ranveer Shori's character, whether it was Tara Saluja's character, whether it was Kiran Sippy. The casting of that film was fantastic. And the Praveen
Baman
Daba,
also
Aman came in a little later,
later.
and then yes, he came a little later, and yeah, I think it's I keep saying a few films of mine cult film, but Khosla Ka Ghosla is anywhere people and people can see it again and again and again.
Yeah.
You can start the film anywhere. If it is
Anyway.
coming on some channel, you can start even 15 minutes जा चुके हैं, 3 घंटा 2 मिनट जा चुके हैं, आधा घंटा जा चुका है. You can start that all over again. And we had lot of difficulties at that time because the producer was having financial difficulties while making
Okay.
that. And I can single-handedly say that I was instrumental in letting that, putting all the put people together and not disentangle, not disengaged. So I used to play Antakshari with them, and it was June, the month of June in
In
Delhi.
Delhi.
It was horrendously hot, but Naveen Nischal's character, but the film got made, and then it stayed in the cans for 3 years before UTV picked it up and released it. But a
That's
fantastic film. खोसला जी का क्या एक एक डायलॉग उसका तो मतलब पहले पानी डालते हैं या पहले बर्फ डालते हैं या जो ड्रिंकिंग वाला सीन एंड अगेन इट्स अ सक्सेस स्टोरी इट्स अ पीपल एंड द एंड विन हाउ द कॉमन मैन मेक ऑन बमन ईरानी's character खुराना साहब.
in 2008, you collaborated for the first time with your friend Neeraj Pandey, then a debutant director in A Wednesday. And it obviously it changed the tone of popular storytelling in Hindi movie industry. And thereafter, you worked with him in Special Chabbis, Naam Shabana, the Dhoni biopic, Ayari. How did Wednesday happen in the first place?
So I by now had earned the distinction of introducing maximum first time directors. Maximum. Whether it was Adi Chopra, introducing in the sense that I was part of their
Yeah,
important
part of the
Adi Chopra, or whether it was um, Karan Johar, Ayan
current.
Mukherjee. By this time, the uh, Mr. Dibakar Banerjee. So, Mr. P.L. Gautam from Z Cinema, he was one of the executive officers there. He came, he knew me, and he came with me. He came to me and he said, एक नया लड़का है, उसने एक फिल्म लिखी है, एंड वो आपको स्क्रिप्ट पढ़ना चाहते हैं, मगर पैसे आपको जितने आजकल मिलते हैं उससे आधे मिलेंगे. I got pissed very badly. I said, what do you mean by पहले से आप बोल के रख रहे? How are you saying that? And you request me that we don't have that much money, and so I will think about it. But how can you say आधे मिलेंगे? So I did not read the script first time. I said पढ़ा नहीं. Then one day again Gautam ji said that अरे आप पढ़िए जरा उसको script को जरा बोलिए ना. I was going from Bombay to Delhi, so I picked up the script on the flight, and I started reading. But when I finished reading in the flight, I was hoping that the plane lands faster than it should, so that I can call up Neeraj Pandey and tell him that I am doing this film. Please don't take anybody else. It was such a brilliant screenplay. It was mind blowing. Uh, one there was I've never seen such an economized script ever. We have shot the film what was written. There is no change. Nothing happened. So I called up Gautam ji. I said मैं कर रहा हूँ film. ठीक है उतने पैसे आधे पैसे लूंगा. And then I came back to Bombay, and then it was again in the same office. It was decided that I will meet the director and his producer Sheetal Bhatia and Neeraj Pandey came to meet me in the evening. Now, what happens is when you are a veteran kind of an actor, you sort of think that you will suggest to the director, this naya ladka bacha hai, isko batayenge. And there was some certainly, from my point of view, there was some certain concerns, not about my character, but just generally one or two things. So Neeraj patiently heard me, and then he said, "Sir, एक भी line change नहीं होगी." I was I was amused by his arrogance, and I was very impressed with his thought that he was so clear in his mind. And we shot the last scene first. Me and Nasir
Okay.
shot the last scene first, in which we cross each other.
Yeah. Cross.
And I have loved being part of Neeraj Pandey's films. He's one of my favorite directors, and I'm thankful that he gave me Special Chappis, which is my one of my all-time favorite films. And of course, the other film,
Baby.
Baby, and Dhoni.
MS.
Yeah, Dhoni was phenomenal, and I love him because he is so sure of what he wants. His script is his film. There is nothing
Correct.
that it's nothing that on the me and Akshay used to on during the shoot making of Baby on Special Chabbis was to just to tease Neeraj. We will say that इसको हम ऐसी suggestion देते हैं so that he can tell us sorry that's not happening. So we will go to him and we will say 100 rupees bets that he will manega. So initially Akshay did not know this is how Neeraj is. So I'll say नहीं मानेगा. He said क्यों नहीं मानेगा यार मेरी suggestion है मैं मुझे ठीक लग रहा है. And he will say okay चलें next let's do the shooting. आपने suggestion दे दी. And so he's I'm waiting to work with him again. I hope I get opportunity to work.
2012 was your big moment in Hollywood, where you actually acted in David O. Russell's Silver Linings Playbook with Bradley Cooper, Jennifer Lawrence, and now your good friend Robert De Niro. Tell us about your friendship with Robert De Niro and the mutual admiration which you both share for each other.
I think it's one-sided admiration. He is man of few words, but I'm very thankful to God. It's such kind of thing. I'm just right now before calling you up or before doing this interview, I was watching Godfather 2. Just wanted to revisit because me and Anil Kapoor were talking about this film, and he said, "Arey main dekh raha hoon." And I can't believe that I am friends with the same guy who did that. I have done a piece, I have done a research paper on his Mean Street and Taxi Driver.
That's right.
Uh, he is one of, not one of, he's like, I call him God of acting. When you see the films that I have seen, The Raging Bull, Deer Hunter, Awakening, Godfather, any film, oh my God, any film that you see, Cape Fear, and here I was getting a chance to be working with him. So there was an incident about it, which I don't really usually talk much about it, and where I was in disagreement with him with what he had suggested to the director, to David O. Russell, and David O. Russell reminded me a lot about Mahesh Bhatt.
Okay.
Yeah, he will rehearse, improvise, he will throw lines, etc. In fact, very personality-wise, very much like Mr. Bhatt of
That's
early
very
days.
interesting.
Yeah, and in a scene, Mr. De Niro said he keeps telling me, "Call me Bob." Every assistant calls me Bob. I somehow cannot. gear up to sort of call him Bob De Niro. So he said there was a scene where all of us go to Bradley Cooper's house where his father is there, and Mr. De Niro said that my character feels that this doctor should not be there, Dr. Patel should not be there.
In
So
the scene.
in the no, he said that why should he come, because this problem, and he was right.
Yeah.
From his character's point of view, Mr. De Niro was right that I should not be there in that scene because I was the cause of him getting almost in the jail, and he
Correct.
needed. Yeah, he was. It was not right for him. So, and it was decided that okay, I will not be in the scene because he was convincing about it. And I suddenly said that I raised my hand and I said, I don't think that's fair because nobody, there are 8 characters in this scene, and why is not my interpretation being heard by the producer and the director?
Okay.
You are basically was saying something about against the interpretation of Mr. De Niro. So they were horrified that this Indian actor, what is he saying? I said, yeah, there are 8 characters. Why haven't you asked me what is my interpretation? So because I had asked with so much of
Conviction.
clarity, not so much of janda khada karke, so they said, okay, what is your interpretation? I said, my interpretation of my character will be that you are wrong, Mr. Pat. What was his name? That your son is reached this stage thanks to my treatment. So don't take away that. Anyway, it was not so mild. It would become a little this thing. And I said the other thing is I have done this scene for this film for this scene because everybody in this scene. And the third thing is I'm not going to get out of the scene. And I sat down in the center of the studio of the set. I said I'm not getting out of this scene. Let's make it very clear. In my mind, I thought क्या होगा ज़्यादा ज़्यादा मेरे को हॉलीवुड में काम नहीं मिलेगा. But ये तो सच है. वही सच जो है ना वो बड़ा काम आता है. And then everybody looked at Mr. De Niro, and Mr. De Niro said, okay, let's do a scene rehearsal again. And then he said, okay. And but he called me later and he said, so you were telling me that you were writing some book. At that time, I was writing my first book, The Best Thing About You Is You. So I said, no, it's only in the manuscript form right now. He said, so is the manuscript with you? I said, yeah, I have the copy. He said, can I have it for my library? Mr. De Niro asking for my manuscript of first book of the Hindi medium school, son of a Department of Forest clerk, Shimla, means I was elated, and then we became friends. And then for the last 3 years, I have celebrated my birthday with Mr. De Niro. In this year, we had lunch together. Last year, I was at his place. It's God's kindness that he has. He's been so magnanimous about uh, thinking of me as his friend.
In 2002, I was holidaying in Mauritius and I bought ticket in a movie theater to see Om Jai Jagdish. What went wrong and why did you not direct again?
No, so I wanted to direct, and it was a big flop. And at that time, in that particular year, there was not a single film which did well except for Mahesh Bhatt's Raz with Deepak Basu.
Ross.
Yeah, but I was a busy actor, so it was I had taken out 2 years of my life. I don't think we Rahul Nanda was the script writer, but I think we did not have a bound script. He kept giving me. It's not his fault, but sometimes things don't work. It's a big hit. It's a big hit on television. People have seen it 20 times. Whenever it comes, when I see it, I like it. There are certain scenes which are very good. There are certain things which could be better. So success is not in anybody's hand. But I was a little disheartened, and and then I decided to let me concentrate on my. And also, industry is such that if the film does not do well, you are not considered to be a good director. Also, success defines direction skills also all over the world, but over here certainly. And it did not happen. Nobody offered me a film to direct. Neither did I sort of made any
Pursue.
attempt. Yeah, I was. Busy. I've been busy. I've been constantly working as an actor, and I'm very happy about it.
Just simple one-line answer. Toughest role till date and most satisfying role till date.
So, toughest role was accidental prime minister because
Okay.
I
So
was
I'll
doing a
come.
bio. Sorry.
Okay, so I'll slip in the first audience question, which is on accidental prime minister. It is being asked by Abhishek Chawla from New Delhi, who asks, "How did you prepare for the role of Dr. Manmohan Singh in the accidental prime minister?" So now you can continue with your answer.
Yeah, so I was not, my first response when the producer director came to me to do this film, my first response was no, that I don't
Okay.
want to do it because for two, three things. One, it was going to be controversial. Number one, number two, why should I do? It's too difficult in terms of पता नहीं मैं कब बनाएंगे अभी बनाएंगे etc etc. In initial days of uh, my participating in the India Against Corruption movement, I was critical of Dr. Manmohan Singh and the government and things like that. I said, yeah, it will get into his own. One day I was watching a news on my television, and I saw a shot of Dr. Manmohan Singh walking and then talking to somebody. And just as an actor, I thought, let me walk from my bedroom to my sitting room, and I found it very difficult. I was far away from that. And then I went to YouTube and I, for 3, 4 days, tried to sort of do something like Dr. Manmohan Singh, and I could not. Then I said yes to the film because I thought this was the most challenging role to me because I was far away from achieving anything in that. Usually, when I see a role and I sort of rehearse, etc., I reach 10% or 15% of the end result that could be. But over here, I was not reaching anywhere. And so I told him that we cannot shoot now. Let's postpone it by 1 year. So for 8 months, I constantly saw hours and hours of footage of Dr. Manmohan Singh. And also because Dr. Manmohan Singh is not a leader from history. He's not Gandhiji or Sardar Patel or
Mm,
Nehru or something. He's in our bedrooms. He's in our sitting rooms. He is
mm,
so evident there. People know him, how he
right,
talks.
right.
And then I did voice coaching for almost 2 months. And
Okay,
then so I've never worked so hard for any character. Not one. And we were doing sync sound. We were not doing dubbing also. So it
okay.
had to be recorded on the spot. It had to be talked on that spot, etc. That's why it is one of the most difficult roles that I've done.
And which is the most satisfying role of yours?
I don't think there will be that
Yeah.
answer. Maybe after 30 years we do the same session, and I will
Okay.
be able to.
I'll also quickly put in the second audience question. Vishal Verma from Kanpur asks, apart from acting techniques, what are the other essentials one should have to become a truthful actor?
Be truthful to the emotions that you are portraying. It's as simple as that. I think if you are, why does a film of a first time actor, the debut film always works because whatever he or she is portraying is they are feeling it, and then
Yeah,
rest of their life goes on in trying to recapture the truth of that moments and hard work. You have to keep on practicing. You have to keep on. You can't depend on intuition कि आज अच्छी हो जाएगी acting. It has to be practiced because in real life we go through all the emotions and we feel it. We all cry, we all hate, we all love, we all get angry, we all laugh. And acting is a sum total of those emotions. But in the previous situation where we are doing it as a naturally, the brain knows. Brain is just accommodating you. But in acting, the brain knows this is the emotion you are portraying, so you become awkward. So just be
right.
truthful, that's it. And then there's techniques do not work. Truth works. You have to create the truth of the character that you are portraying.
Okay. Who have been the biggest inspirations in your life for your work and success?
So my biggest inspiration is my grandfather as and B.V. Pradhan, the character that I portrayed in Saransh. But I spent most of my life, initial life, 16, 17 years of my life with my grandfather, who was a very learned person, who he introduced us to us as children, Bhagavad Gita, Ramayana, Mahabharata, not from a religious point of view, but from a philosophy point of view. And he taught us that it's important to be truthful. It's important to be working hard. He wrote a letter to me when I was down and out, and wrote that line in one of the letters, "Ki bhiga hua aadmi baरिश se nahi darta." So life has been, but otherwise I get inspired by anybody. I get inspired by you, your that way you go about your job, the way you are truthful to your job. That's very inspiring. People, there are so many people around you who can be very inspiring. In my the influence, I think Dilip Kumar Saab had first very major influence on me, because here was this actor who had uh, in 50s 60s, when I see those films, done so much realistic acting, and yet romance and anger and everything that he portrayed so well. And unknowingly, when I got into drama school, then Brando, Mr. De Niro, Al Pacino's earlier work, Dustin Hoffman, Nutanji, Wahida Rahman, Mr. Bachchan also, so many films that one has seen in him. Yeah.
An underrated actor in the Hindi movie industry who you would love to see more on screen.
But my point is that who is underrated by whom?
Who's not getting adequate work, but when he comes on screen, you would love to see him more. So which is a personal take on somebody I would like to see more on screen.
So I don't think that I will not put it like that, because if you are not getting work, that is not necessarily because you are underrated. You are not getting work for thousands of other reasons.
Okay.
So I like this new set of actors. They're all doing some phenomenal work. Ayushmann Khurrana is there. Where I think he's very good, and they are all getting their due. All of them. That Ranbir Kapoor is very good. Ranveer Singh is very good. Alia, I think, is very good. But I will like to see a lot of students of my school who will get many chances. I would like to see many newcomers coming up without having family relationships. Means people who come as a family, I think hats off to them. Fantastic. Why not? They should. But इट्स हैपनिंग. अभी आप टेलीविजन पे देख लो कितने नए लोगों को काम मिलता है, बहुत सारे लोगों को काम मिलता है. एट द एंड ऑफ इट, इट इज योर वर्क विच सॉर्ट ऑफ sustains you. No influence, no family ties, no underrated thing or no overrated thing. You survive because of your work. So that is how I'll put it.
The industry is going through its worst now. If Chintuji, Irfan, and Wajid's deaths weren't enough, we just lost a 34-year-old Sushant. Just a few days ago, you had played his father in MS Dhoni, The Untold Story. Your comments on Sushant as a person and as a star.
Well, I was very sad because anybody for that matter, I was very sad when Irfan Khan passed away, with Rishi Kapoor ji passed away. I spent 1 year with him, almost meeting him regularly when he was getting treated for cancer in New York. I didn't spend much time with Wajid Bhai, but I knew he was there. Uh, but most shocking was certainly Sushant Singh's death, and that also because it was a suicide. And because I had done a father and son's role, it was so we came very close to each other in terms of he needed to feel uh, about me, affectionate about me as a father, and I needed to feel. We needed to go beyond the techniques of acting and things like that, and that bonding had to be off screen, because at the end of it, it was a father and son story told through the premise of cricket. And very bright boy, very intelligent person, very intelligent, very full of dreams, full of life. So that did come as a shock. And then I saw his other film also, Sonchidiya, I saw recently, which was very good. Shubh Mangal, Savdhan, he was very good. Kai Poche,
Should Desi Romance.
Romance, he was fantastic. And Kai Poche, and there was World ahead of him, and that was very, very, very saddening. Unfortunately, what is also happening is because not that things can change, but because of pandemic, because of lockdown, you can't even express grief completely. When you show grief, when you express grief to the family, to when you go all out to meet the people, the parents. I had the possibility of going and hugging Sushant's father. I would have loved to hug him. उससे उनका बेटा वापस नहीं आता मगर एक एक moral support मिलती है. I wish I can reach out to him and sort of say I'm sorry about it. I wish I could attend Chintu ji's funeral. I wish I could attend go and meet Irfan's family. So that is a sense of incompleteness, unfortunately, during this lockdown period. Yeah.
Any words of advice for the newcomers? Because this is a very, very severe, serious problem which people face when they come from outside, and you have gone through those things in your early days. Like, any words of advice how they should handle this problem called Mumbai?
It's a solution. Mumbai is not the problem. Mumbai is the solution to millions of people, not only in cinema halls, not in the business of cinema. It's a city of dreams, and it's a very, 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 it's a very giving city. It has a large heart. People like me, people like Shahrukh, people like Akshay, so many people like Mr. Ambani, Dhirubhai Ambani. Look at the people from all over the world who have come and made it. But if you ask me an advice is don't give up. Not giving up is not an alternate, is not a solution. Uh, Hard work always pays. I genuinely believe in that. Um, hope is the best four-letter word. And Unfortunately, the problem is the world you are living in today is the world where you are constantly told that somebody is doing better than you, whether in this field, whether in the field of journalism, whether in the field of hotel or a normal life, even in the field of social media. You have 500 Facebook friends, somebody has 700, so you feel so constantly you are going to feel inadequate. And the most important part in this time is to be played by parents and the family. You have to give them support, and giving up is not a choice. Taking your life is not a choice. I'm sure who have done it must have done it under great stress or great loneliness or depression or whatever it is, or circumstances. But it's wonderful to be able to dream. It's wonderful to be able to make those dreams come true. You made me go through the whole life, and it's just gone in my front of my eyes like a flashback. And when I go through a flashback, I also realized that 3rd of June 1981, when I came to the city, I was a nobody. And today we talked about a career of span 36 years.
36 years.
That happened thanks to the city. That happened thanks to millions of people in this industry who have helped me. Thanks to Mahesh Bhatt, thanks to Yash Chopra, thanks to so many, Neeraj Pandey, thanks to Dimakar Banerjee, thanks to so many millions of actors, producers, technicians who helped me. So uh, that's why I said, no, failure is an event, never a person. And that's one of my favorite quotes is the bend in the road is not the end of the road.
So if I ask you a kuch bhi ho sakta hai line, would we ever see you in politics?
The fact you said kuch bhi ho sakta hai, I cannot deny that. But I don't have any intentions right now to get into politics. But if after 3-4 years you see me in the politics, I don't want to sort of say no to you right now. because my life mantra is कुछ भी हो सकता है. Of course हो सकता है. We never thought that we thought we will finish this interview in 45 minutes. We have taken more than 65 minutes. तो कुछ भी हो सकता है. No,
So
just
that's not our problem. That's your problem, because you have had a career of 36 years where you have given hits, 5 hits every year. So
we should take at
we
least
could
1 week.
compare it.
No,
Okay.
I'm just trying to say that that it's very difficult to answer that question in yes or no. But right now, I have no intention, no possibility of joining any politics. I am not interested in that because if I have a voice which I can raise, which I can take forward through my social media, in any case through journalists, through papers. But if after 5 years I join politics, it's possible because kuch bhi ho sakta hai.
Just last 3 one-word answers. Favorite city in the world?
Shimla.
A director you would love to work with who you have not worked as yet?
Martin Scorsese.
An actor you admire
We spoke,
internationally?
we spoke about Mr. De Niro.
Yes. Thank you, Mr. Kher, for talking to me in Bollywood Talkies with Outlook. Stay safe, enjoy Mumbai, and all the best for the new seasons of New Amsterdam.
Thank you so much. Thank you. It was a pleasure talking to you, Mitrajit.